All right. What's up, internet? We are D minus chats.
Are we on?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. We're D minus
Yeah.
chats. I'm Brian.
I am a slippery little sea cucumber.
That's
Uh,
you are just a crazy, crazy person. You're a crazy cucumber.
I'm a crazy little cucumber. I got my little tentacles, got my little fingerlings, I got my little. I don't know. I can't. What do sea cucumbers look like? Me. That's that's what.
Right.
So right. So if you tuned in last night, I'm sure you did. Then we had a little brainstorming session about what we wanted to review today, and we decided on an album. But first, Brian, what did you listen
Mhm.
to today?
I listened to the new album by Brian Fallon, and Brian Fallon used to front and write for the band Gaslight Anthem.
Ah,
Yeah, so
interesting.
I heard a lot of hype, and I heard one of the tracks off of Brian Fallon's new album called Sleepwalkers, which is fantastic. I really got a good feel of his writing. I liked Gaslight Anthem, but I didn't love them. It didn't really hit for me, and I think solo Brian Fallon really does, and his writing is fantastic. He's um, very poetic and illustrative, kind of like Bob Dylan, but not as annoying, and also very emotive. So I really enjoyed the new one from Brian Fallon. Again, it's called Sleepwalkers, and that's what I listened to today. What did you listen to today?
So I dropped my iPhone, so
Oh, shit.
the screen's cracked. So sorry, but I listened to one of I think it's the first album by the noise pop band Sleigh Bells. Uh, yeah, Sleigh Bells is a pop group. I think there's only two members, and they are so fucking noisy. It's crazy. I've never heard a noise pop like this before, because a lot of the times when you think of noise pop, you'll think of a band like Jesus and Mary Chain or like Yo La Tengo or My Bloody Valentine or something like that. And it's like it's noisy, but it's still catchy. But this is like pop music that's just totally like cranked, and it's not like the guitars are noisy. It's like it's just turned up, and it's like the speakers are being blown out, which is a
Oh,
totally
cool.
different kind of noisy. And it's great, man. It's really catchy while being like the loudest fucking catchy thing you've ever heard in your life. It's a great like combination of extremely aggressive in its production and also really like earwormy. So I am excited to listen to more Sleigh Bells. I'm kind of late on the ship. They were released a lot of their albums during the 2000s. So but I am looking forward to hearing more of them because they're really good. So yeah, we're reviewing the new album by Justin Timberlake called Man of the Woods. Brian, who's Justin Timberlake?
Man of the Woods. Justin Timberlake is a solo artist. He used to not be. He was a member of NSYNC, if you remember that. Justin Timberlake's solo albums as of recent have been really just very hyped because they're known for being somewhat experimental but very adventurous in album structure. He recently released a double album a few years ago, and it's just like he is that type where it's like if he releases an album, it's kind of an event. It's kind of like a Taylor Swift sort of like, uh-oh, we're in for something here. And Man of the Woods was met with the same reception when it was announced that he had a new album because it had been about 3 years since he had something come out. And so he announced the album. He dropped the first single, Filthy. He dropped the music video for Filthy. And then the album came out a couple of weeks ago.
Nice,
Well, that's where we are. Yeah.
nice. Well, God damn it! What did you think of it?
Uh,
You like it? You love it?
you know what? I was pretty excited to hear this. My whole thing was like, if we weren't going to review this one, I was just going to listen to it anyway. I was really excited for it because I heard Filthy and I was really into it. And then I heard another song, which was another single, and I was into that one too. And I figured, well, this is just going to be fantastic. And it didn't work.
Damn
This
it.
one didn't work.
God damn
Yeah.
it. God damn it. God damn
You're
it.
upset. You're upset because you loved it. That's why you're upset.
I
because you
loved it. That's not the truth. That's far from the truth. All right. So the last album to come out was 2020, right? Was that
Yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
last album that came out? Right. Yeah. It was New Tai and those singles. Yeah. Right. Okay. So the last one before that, I think, was the one with Sexy Back, which is Future Sex Love Sounds, right? Am I
Um.
wrong?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There haven't been
Yeah.
many albums, and so that's why they get so much hype whenever they're announced.
Right. Yeah. So I liked the also the first one he did. I don't remember the name of the album. It's the one with just he's just on it. He's like in a denim jacket because it was early 2000s,
Mhm.
and that's still allowed. Uh, that had a bunch of singles on it. I think like I Love You was on that one. Uh, and then he came out with Future Sex Love Sounds, uh, which had Sexy Back and a few other big singles. I thought that one was cool too. I listened to part of 2020. I was guilty of the whole thing, unfortunately, but I liked it. So I was all excited to listen to that album, partly because it was going. I know it's so hyped, and I hadn't yet heard Filthy, but I knew it was a single that was getting a lot of buzz. So both because I was personally interested, and also because I knew it was getting a lot of attention, and oh my god! So the Neptunes are they produce most of the songs on this album, and I was interested, right? Because like Pharrell Williams has been one of the bigger name producers on a lot of the stuff, the pop that's been coming out in the past 10 years. He's
Oh
been
yeah.
like
No,
on
he's
a
been everywhere.
lot of
He's been.
hits. He's been everywhere. He's been totally. And so I was like, okay, because I mean, it seems like whenever you see Pharrell Williams, there's a hit. You know, that's what it feels like a lot of the time. And so I was like, all right, so this could be cool. You know, I mean, I'm you know, here and there with some of the songs he's been on. I didn't like Happy that much. I didn't like that Robin Thicke song either. But you know, some of them, I thought that Daft Punk song was really great, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was like, this could be really cool. And so hearing that the Neptunes were going to be on most of these tracks, I was like, I'm interested. Man, what were they thinking? What were they thinking, man? This was a disaster.
I
This was
think
just whack.
really it was disastrous for you. This was
Yeah, it
not.
was. Well,
This was.
production wise,
Oh, production wise,
production wise,
really,
I thought it was a disaster. Absolutely, it was.
really. Okay.
You didn't feel that way?
I didn't love it, but I didn't think the production was disastrous. I thought other
I thought it
things
was a
were, but not.
disaster.
Okay.
I thought the production particularly was a disaster. That was the thing that killed the album more than anything else for me. So I guess I'll elaborate because I mean I made a little bit of a weighty claim there. Okay, they did this one thing. Tell me if you noticed this. There was no bass guitar, but there was this weird percussive bass thing throughout the whole album, and that took care of the low end, and that's it. It was like this, that like the kind of like boom, 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 and that was like the entire low end for like the whole album. It was all upper register, all of it, except for that weird like percussive bass thing.
Yeah.
And it sounded so bad, and it sounded so unfinished, and it sounded like it was like I just kept picturing the production and Timberlake and Williams being in the studio being like, it's good enough, because there were so many songs right from the get-go. I was like, did they just throw in the towel and like just be like, I,
Mhm.
it sounded like they were rough cuts or demos, all of it on a name like Justin Timberlake. It was shocking. I was like, what? Yeah, because that doesn't even really sound like something Pharrell Williams would always do either. Because Happy is super produced, right? And although it did kind of remind me of something like with minimal to production, like Blurred Lines, which did have, like minimal production. But I was just like, what is going? I was really shocked. I was really surprised, and that to me made the album so not unbearable, but crazy boring because it just didn't sound done at all. There was one song. Oh, let me pull up my notes really quick. There was one song that I was just like, this is just unbelievable. That song, it was on the Man of the Woods title track.
That was it. Yeah.
I was like, there's nothing there. There was nothing there. There was nothing there. It was, and that happened on a few songs. I was like, they just didn't finish it. But that one in particular stuck out, and I was like, okay, well, they didn't try, I'm sorry. Okay, rant about the production, the minimalism about it over. You have the floor.
No, those are good. That's a good observation. Actually, like now, thinking about it, there wasn't much low end, and I think that a lot of the songs also like I was thinking the same thing. Unfinished. That was kind of my biggest um, adjective I would use to describe the entire album is that a lot of incomplete thoughts. Um, you're talking about production, and I can totally feel you on that, and I do. My whole thing is song structure.
Mm-hmm. I
You
agree
have a
with you there
lot.
also.
This album feels long. First off, 65 minutes is a killer. That hurts. But another album that was that long, that was a pop album, if you remember this, when we did The Weekend.
Oh, was it that long? It didn't seem that long.
Right? Because there was more there. It was a more
Yeah.
substantial album. And so here you've got 65 minutes that feels like 65 minutes, and at times it feels like 80 or 90.
Yeah,
And
it does.
there are songs, and I wrote this down Montana. Yeah, it's funky and it's a little bit ear catching when you first get into it. It's 4 minutes and 40 seconds, and it doesn't have to be. You go to Midnight Summer Jam, which is a dance track, 5 minutes and 13 seconds.
That could have been three
And
minutes.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Wave, which was an absolute mess of a song, in
Yeah.
every right, melodically, in structure, in production, in whatever sort of instrumentation and arrangement went in there. Wave was a complete mess. That was 4.5 minutes. Living Off the Land, I checked out at 2:30, but that's a 5 minute song, and it was aimless. A lot of the songs that I found are
Okay.
aimless, and if they're not aimless, they are repetitive as shit. And the only time that I think the repetition works a little bit is when you have a song with a good hook and a good vocal, like Say Something.
Yeah. Okay. So I will be honest. At the last four songs in the album, I was like, I'm not writing any notes. I'm not, and I was like, if something like comes to me, I'll write a note for it. But I was the last four songs of the album, Living Off the Land, Young of the Man, t- t- Time to Get BIOS on Demand. I'm no longer a boy, now I'm a man. All this shit. I can't. I couldn't because I find that on so many pop albums, right? And this is super guilty of it, especially like pop albums that you'd expect there to be like, there's going to be some singles, but probably most of the album tracks aren't going to be, there's not going to be as much effort put into them. Uh, that by the end of the album, it feels like it's just gone off the rails, and it's just like it needs to be an album. It needs to be album like. So that just by the end of the album, it's just like, well, there's some songs, and this did that. This is very guilty of like the whole like, well, they have Filthy, and they have Say Something. So by now, let's just throw songs in, which is how it felt. And I just gave up. I was like, I'm not interested. I didn't think half the songs were good at all. Wave, I want to talk about that for a sec, just because you hated that. You probably hated it more than I did. I didn't hate it. I thought it was like Well, I mean, I didn't like it. I'm not going to defend it really, but uh, it had a cool chord progression, kind of, and there was some good vocal harmony. But other than that,
Mm-hmm.
it was empty. And
Yeah,
that,
those things were
yeah,
good for the first 90 seconds of the song. You're right, those things were good.
that's awesome. And if I can speak to something about like this shallow production that really kills the album, to me, another guilty, another song that does that. I don't know if you're gonna feel me on this, but I think that Supplies does that. Uh, I think it's catchy, but I think the production and the shallowness of it is a killer, man.
Mm-hmm.
It has a hook, and I like the hook. I think it's kind of cool, but
Yeah,
it's just there's nothing there. There's no low end. It doesn't feel like there's a lot happening because there's not a lot happening. You know, and if it can, you can maybe do something with minimal. I'm down for minimalism. Like, I mean, no doubt
yeah,
about it. Like,
I know
you
you
can,
very well. I
yeah,
know.
exactly. Like, you can do minimalism really interestingly. Like, that's not the problem. The problem is doing that and making it seem boring, right? Like, because it's really easy to just be repetitive and minimal, and it seeming boring because it is. It's a matter of making it seem interesting. So the repetition isn't just repetition. It's an element of the composition. This doesn't do that at all. This is very much like it's minimal because it seems like there was an effort. And that fucked up one of the singles for me. It fucked up Supplies. And that sucks because like I thought it had potential. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? You can't just, with a team like Neptune's, you can't just rely on the strength of Justin Timberlake's vocals because he's got a great
No.
flow on Supplies. But that's not
Yeah.
going to save it. It's not going to save it. And that's not
No.
going to save this album either. Um, this album felt aimless and meandering at a lot of times.
Yeah.
And if I could speak about pop albums for a second, I think that Taylor Swift kind of set a bit of a standard with pop albums with 1989, where it's like, you know what? You might have a few hit singles. In fact, you might even have 5 or 6 hit singles, but you need to have a strong album now. And I think a lot of people went like, oh shit, you're right. And so now people like The Weeknd are releasing longer but substantial albums. Yeah, there was filler on Beauty Behind the Madness, but this is so much filler. So much so that the songs are longer than they need to be. There are songs that end at 3 minutes. And you know what? If you're edging 65 minutes of run length, you don't have to worry about hitting LP length. You could cut it at 45 if you wanted.
Yeah.
It's fine.
They could have cut out.
Especially if you just.
Yeah.
What?
I was saying they could have either cut out like 5 of the songs, really, or they could have cut down the length on all of them. I don't think there's one song on this album that to me I was like, that could have been longer. Either it's like, all right, it just makes the cut, or it's way too long.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of one that was like, to me, it never occurred like this is a good length. It never had that thought for me. When I checked out with the notes, I was looking at the track times and I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be 4 minutes. This is gonna be 3.5 minutes because I knew most of them could have been like 2.5 or 3 minutes, and I just was not excited, and it was that was a bummer. And you know what? There were certain songs on this album, like Morning Light, they were just so fucking boring, And
You could have done
which is
so much. You could have done so much with Morning Light specifically because you have Justin Timberlake and Alicia Keys who have amazing vocals and they would work well together. And in fact, they do on Morning Light. But that's not going to save the song. It's just
no.
not going to save. You have one thing. It's one dimensional. That's one dimensional. Sauce.
Sauce. Best part of
Sauce
the
was
album.
cool, but again, it was one dimensional. So was Man of the Woods, and the production. Yeah, you're right. That one was really thin. Oh God, what
I didn't
else?
like Filthy.
You didn't like? Okay, I was gonna ask you if you did.
I don't like Filthy. You know what? All right. So I thought this is really I really thought this was gonna be like. I thought that when I heard Filthy, which is the first song on the album, I was like, maybe this is gonna be like the motherfucker from that new Faith No More album to the rest
Okay,
of it. I was like,
yeah,
maybe it's gonna be minimal and kind of interesting because I've never known Justin Timberlake to do production like this. So I was like, okay, well, if it's a one-off, kind of quirky, weird, like because the whole song is like there's like I guess like keys or something and his vocals and drums, and that's like most of the song. And then they have those like the transitions which have like bigger composition, but most of it's very sparse. And I was like, that's kind of interesting because
yeah.
I thought it was going to be unique in in the album list, which it wasn't. So I was like, maybe not, you know. But
I I
I
thought it
didn't
was.
like in context.
I
You thought
I
it was
thought
what?
Filthy was interesting because, again, we were listening to the video version, which again that could have something could have been sacrificed. But if you listen to just like the studio version, there is a great bass guitar line. Like it's actually
Oh, really?
guitar,
Oh,
uh, and I enjoy it. It's a great bass line, and I'm like, oh, cool. I would listen to it, and I enjoy the song very much. And that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, and that's one of the reasons why that's probably my favorite song on this album. If I had to pick one, yeah, I already liked it, and I thought it was quirky and cool and fun. All those reasons that are entirely superficial, but because there's actually a bass line where you said there was not on the other songs. Oh God, what else? Man of the Woods had a hook, but that was it. You know,
I didn't like the hook.
mm,
Maybe that's just because they didn't write a very good hook. At least to me, I didn't like the hook at all. Yeah, there was a hook, totally. I thought it was really annoying. Uh,
yeah. Mm.
didn't. Oh my god, best song on the album though.
Before you do it, before you do it,
Uh,
I know where we're going, but
okay,
before we do
okay,
it, let me talk about the last two songs really
yeah,
quick.
sure. Which is Young Man and what's the other one?
The hard stuff.
Hard Stuff. Okay.
Yeah. The reason that I thought those were interesting, not in any good way, but interesting to me, something I've noticed about those. First off, Justin Timberlake's he's been doing a lot of things in like the Nashville scene, stemming from, the CMA Awards where he performed with Chris Stapleton. He
Cool.
started to release like some songs that had a bit of a flow to it. The hard stuff in Young Man, songwriting wise, they follow all of the Nashville rules.
That's interesting.
And I'm like, I don't know if this is an attempt to break into the Nashville scene. Probably not, because I don't see any sort of crossover intention with those two songs.
Well, he's from Memphis,
Mm-hmm.
so like I don't know. Maybe he has like a one of the earlier songs he was singing about like being from the South, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't. It might just be because he has roots in Tennessee. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's necessarily true. However, he's not a man of the woods. I'm gonna. He was born in Memphis. He lives in Los Angeles. There's no woods in Memphis. He's not from the fucking the Appalachians. You know, he's he's no man of the woods. I'll just say that. But yeah, that would be my guess. It's probably he probably
Yeah.
grew up on a lot of that shit. You know.
It could just be to further cement himself with a pop audience because a lot of pop audiences now are listening to what's coming out of Nashville. So this is just kind of like comparatively, maybe they just went that direction with those couple of songs on this album. That's enough for me. It was just an observation. I feel literally well. All right. As far as like, first off, Young Man, I've heard like seven father to son country songs released this year alone. This year meaning 2018. Yes, I've heard that many. This doesn't do it. Um, whatever. Talk about flannel. Give a fuck.
Flannel is the best song on the album. Yo, that shit's awesome, man. Okay, so this was. I don't know if you like that song or not. It's unique in the album. and you are not about to tell me it's not unique in the album,
I
because
wasn't.
it is. Okay, because that song. All right, yo. So I feel you if you're about to be like, this is a nursery rhyme type of bitch, right? Like you're a Mother Goose sounding motherfucker, right? Like I hear you, like maybe, but
Go on.
like that chord progression and that hook, I think is really interesting. And I've never heard Justin Timberlake do anything like that before in his life. It sounds almost like folky, but not like folky like Bob Dylan, like European folky, you know? And there were like some that I don't know if you caught this, but like the hook ends on a 1-5-1 progression.
Yep. Oh, I
And
know.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's radical. Like I thought it was really cool. I was not excited for it when we were listening through the album because hers came on before it, and I immediately had a meltdown. I I jumped off of a
This is the
building.
first meltdown in D minus chat's history where it was over an interlude
Oh,
and
I
not an
hated the
actual
interlude.
song.
That was the worst interlude I've ever heard in my life. And I listened to Tool albums, but but yeah, that sucked. And it was clear that it was gonna, like, when you heard that stupid fucking interlude, it was like, all right, the next song's called Flannel, right? Like, I see where this is going. And yeah, it's kind of like that lyric wise, but the song is really cool. I'm gonna listen to that song again, like probably in like a half hour. I really like that song.
Mhm.
It's not gonna be a hit. It's not gonna be a single, but it's cool. I really liked it. Did you have standout tracks? Oh, were you gonna say
Yes,
something? I'm
but
sorry.
yeah, no, about flannel is just that it wasn't the chord progression and the hook was very melodic and it was interesting. I totally feel you there. Um, it was cool to hear from Justin Timberlake also. Um, the 1-5-1 like sort of cadence at the end was like, okay, this is actually like very early Americana, like some Quaker ass shit, but
I liked
uh,
it.
it's a gift to be simple. So the thing about it is, here's what this was the biggest thing for me. I feel like flannel was supposed to be deep. I feel like it was supposed to convey a message that it didn't.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
don't
what
know.
it's about.
It could have. No,
I feel
it's
like
about
it
a fucking
feel
shirt.
like it wanted to. I feel like it wanted to, especially with hers. And whatever was the last minute and a half of the track, which doesn't
Oh
at all transition.
yeah.
I was like, if this is going to transition into Montana, then fine, but it doesn't. And so,
I loved that shit. Yo, sounding like a Skinny Puppy album real quick though. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yo, and you just want to, like, when we were listening to the album, I was like, all right, so now we're listening to Throbbing Gristle. That's cool. And they said they said the phrase "It's in your blood." Do you know the song "It's in Your Blood" by Coil? Was I was like, is what? It just clearly it's not a Coil homage, right? But it surprised me. I was like, it made me do like a double take. I was like, are we? What are we? What's going on here? It's like the song that's like, "It's in your blood," And I was like, that's cool. I don't know where we're going. It was
yeah, I know. I
what
think
I don't know what the fuck.
that was that was the biggest detriment of that section of the album is that I think there was supposed to be a theme, and I didn't get it.
Oh, I don't know.
It didn't. Yeah.
You know, uh, the after Filthy, I gave up on trying to figure out what songs were about. I was like, because I have no idea what Filthy's about. Forget about adding the video to it. Holy shit, I have no idea what's going on. Did you see the video?
I did, yeah. I thought, I mean, I don't, videos or whatever, videos don't have to necessarily be conceptual with the song, and more often than not, they're not. But
Right.
Filthy
I
is
don't
just
even.
like,
What's it?
I,
What's it
I
about?
think that has the most sexual like undertones of any of these songs.
Right.
But like your friends, my friends, and they ain't leave until 6 in the morning. I don't know, losing me. Haters are gonna say it's fake. It's so fucking real. Haters are going to say it's fake. It's
So real. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's what
I
I'm saying.
dig it.
Like there's lines in it. It's like, all right, well, they ain't leaving until 6 in the morning is a tribute to Gin and Juice, right? And then I don't know, like there's that. It's like something about an orgy or something, and then it's like
No,
haters gonna say it's fake. It's
yeah.
like what the AI that's in the
I think
video.
no, I think it's a completely superficial, just for fun lyrical song, which I also got on Midnight Summer Jam and Sauce and
Oh, I
Wave
liked
and but
Sauce. I liked
yeah,
Sauce a lot, actually. I don't know.
I like Sauce. Yeah,
Yeah, Sauce was cool. Um, I don't know, man. All right, so my standouts, right? Flannel and Sauce. Those are, which usually shouldn't go together. Uh, I don't like it when Sauce and my flannels go together. Myself.
get my friend some Clorox. Okay, got a big old
But
stain.
got a big old stain. Sauce, right? But I liked those two songs. I thought they were cool for really different reasons, but I liked them. I liked them.
Right.
Other than that, man, I didn't like this album. I really didn't. I thought it was so boring.
Mm-hmm. Um, I really enjoy Say Something, as very one-dimensional as it is. I do. And also hearing Chris Stapleton with Justin Timberlake, that's nice. I like both of their vocals together. I should have liked Morning Light on paper. I should have liked Morning Light. That's another duet with Alicia Keys. I
Yeah,
should have liked Morning Light. We all should have liked Morning Light.
I was looking forward to it. I love Alicia Keys.
Mm-hmm.
I was like really hyped. I was like, because I don't really know Chris Stapleton that like as much as you do. But so I was like, oh, this could be cool. But like, I was like really excited for the Alicia Keys duet because I've always liked her. And the Morning Light happened, and I was like, oh, all right, never mind. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to say something too. It wasn't a standout, but the fact that the chord progression was "Second Chance" by Shine Down absolutely killed it for me. I couldn't, just because it was one of those like I cannot hear it sort of things. But it was cool. It was a cool song. It was a little repetitive, but it was still kind of catchy.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
liked Higher Higher. I thought was kind of cool. It was
it's kind of
fine. It
cool.
was pretty mature, and for the album, it was good, pretty substantial. I do like Filthy, again, for superficial reasons. I think it's fun. I have a good time listening to it. Breeze Off the Pond was funky and a little more developed than Montana. I thought it was cool, but when it ended, you were like, I hated that fucking song.
I did hate that fucking song, man. All right,
Yeah.
if you like it, cool, but like I don't get it. I was so right again. Lyrics, I don't care. Right? I mean, breeze off the pond, trees on the lawn, fantastic. Whatever your fuck you're talking about, I don't give a shit. But it was so to me so crazy. Like when I say basic, I don't mean like basic. I mean like there was nothing happening. It was like too minimal, right? It was repetitive and boring, and there was nothing about it that caught me. It was just like, how long was it? 4 minutes? And I was like, this could have been, to me, it could have been cut entirely. I didn't see anything in it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which is to say, not to say there were several songs I felt like that about. I don't know, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't.
I wanted this one to go well. I did. I really wanted this one to go well.
Yeah, we got flannel, and we got sauce.
We got sauce.
Hey, yo,
You got all of
we
it.
got sauce. Hype as fuck that the name of that song is called Sauce, by the way. If that wasn't abundantly clear, Justin Timberlake made a song called Sauce. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say. I feel like I touched on everything I wanted to touch on.
I think we did it. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is over. Man. All right. Well, this is D- Chats, and don't get sauce on your flannel. Bye.
Bye.